Norm from Tested here at the Steam VR Developer Showcase. This next game I'm going to check out is a multiplayer shooter in virtual reality with a really cool locomotion mechanic. Let's go play Hover Junkers. So now I'm joined by Alex Knoll, lead designer at Stress Level Zero. You guys made Hover Junkers. It is a fully fleshed out multiplayer deathmatch game in VR. Now the big thing, it's called Hover Junkers because you have a locomotion mechanic, which is riding on like a hover car. How did you guys come up with that?
So about 20 minutes after the Vive was announced, we just immediately were like, we have to develop for this thing. You know, we saw, we're like, room scale. Okay, what do we have?
1 minute warning.
We have
1 minute.
We have a room. We've got 2 track controllers, tracked head. What are we going to do? Well, we don't want the room to be stuck, so let's attach jet engines to the ship, to our room, and create a flying ship. And we want to put cover on it, and we want to kind of emulate the feeling that you get as a kid when you have snowball fights or play airsoft, Nerf, paintball. Like we want to just like capture that same feeling. So it's more like a real life gunfight than it is a first person shooter, really.
Right. The entire room is moving. You've turned it into like a hover car. Now I imagine you guys have to tweak acceleration and movement for that to keep it comfortable. Because as the hover car is moving, I didn't feel like I was going to fall off at any time. How did you get to that point?
There's a number of things that we did to sort of make you feel comfortable. The first one, obviously, is that we require you to physically turn your body to turn and aim, so the ship doesn't turn itself, which is one of the vehicle issues with VR and forced turning, forced rolling. So you have to physically turn. The vehicle's more of a fortress that you sort of ride around rather than a ship. So it's your mobile fortress, and I designed a lot of cages and roll cage systems, sort of stuff to fill up your peripheral vision to make you feel a lot more secure and stable. It gives you a cockpit effect so that you feel more comfortable rather than just something that's driving you all around. So everybody feels extremely comfortable, like flying it around. And we tweaked the acceleration for months just to make that feel just right.
There are a lot of elements both in the near field, the midfield, and the far field, things that you can hide behind, but also your opponents are going to be from afar. Now, you're piloting it using one of the Vive controllers, the touchpad. I found it really comfortable to just hold one of those touchpads off the side and just strafe around. Are you finding that's the mechanic that's best for this?
It took a while to figure out how you want to control the actual vehicle itself. We tried some sort of virtual joysticks and virtual wheels and buttons, and nothing ever felt concrete until we started playing with a lot of parrot drones. So you fly parrot drones with your phone, and we're like, this is pretty interesting. Let's try this. So we just emulated sort of a virtual in the air sort of point where you want to go stick that mimics a lot of parrot drone flying. So.
And then, of course, it's a multiplayer game. So for your own avatar, you see your hands, but the enemies, you actually see a full, fleshed-out avatar with inverse kinematics, because you're only tracking 3 points, head and 2 controllers. What can you see other person do?
So there's no canned animations at all with our other players. You have to actually drive what you want to do with your body. So as you saw after I killed you, I did a little bit of a victory dance. That's not an animation. That's me actually doing a dance. And we're driving, the spine, the arms, the clavicles, everything with just our head and our hands. Because we really wanted to capture that social, experience. Like, there's a lot of improvisation with what you can do. There's a lot of people who enjoy creating content with video games, a lot of machinima content where they try to get everything that they can maximize out of the F1, F2, F3, F4 animations, and we just threw that in all the garbage. We're like, you can just do it yourself. You can start dancing all you want.
Now, how does that affect then the hitboxes? Because pinpoint accuracy is really important in Hover Junkers. I'm looking down the sight. I want to shoot someone's shoulder or their head. If you're using IK to manipulate their shoulder or their elbows for them, how do you balance that?
We've played a lot of airsoft, and so we have a lot of experience with where you get hit most frequently. And I mean, obviously, many people will say that, you know, it's torso and head are going to be your primary thing. So that's really like the main mass, the body mass that you're going to be able to hit, as well as hands that you see coming around. So there's sort of an exponential ramping of damage that does, like, as you move towards your head. So the closer you get to the center of the chest, the more damage. Lower you go, less damage. Arms, less damage. So kind of promoting people to, you know, improve their accuracy, like with handling this virtual weapon. Like, okay, you're gonna have to practice for a while, and once you start getting those headshots, you get significantly better at playing the game.
And also the players themselves are going to be different sizes and different configurations. If someone's really tall, they're playing this game, how does the avatar adjust compared to if someone's using the same avatar if they're a little shorter?
Exactly. We just had a guy who was really tall, and I'm of course much shorter, and it changes the dynamic because it causes you to take cover and react differently to, you know, somebody shooting at you. And we do measure your height in the game. When you start the game, we actually measure your height to know exactly how tall you are and how we should scale the character accordingly. But we've seen a lot of people who question, you know, how balanced is that? Is it going to be, you know, like, oh, I'm worried that somebody who's shorter is going to have some kind of advantage. To which we say, if that were the case, then the Navy SEALs would all be jockeys. You know, they'd all be like 4'5", and it's a lot more balanced than you'd think. It's really, the balance comes down to how can you keep your cool in a gunfight. You know, if you're getting shot at, how you know, rhythmically can you keep the guns reloaded and firing and keep everything smooth.
Keeping your cool is really important because you're not just looking on the sights. There is no auto aim, as you mentioned, but there's a lot you need to actually physically do to reload. So how much did you guys experiment with taxing both the mental and physical capabilities of a player to get to the point where it's like a comfortable reload mechanic?
We knew right away that we wanted to have something to slow players down, and we didn't want it to be ammunition. We didn't want you to have to find ammunition. We wanted you to have to, you know, spend more time practicing, like, and it creates a natural sort of rhythm where you have like stand up, shoot, duck, reload, stand up, shoot, get a kill. All right, let's go find somebody, and it creates this nice rhythm, and you can just sort of go with the flow once you get better at it, and it just becomes sort of a strange dance. You know, in the end, when everything's sort of flowing and you're getting kills and people are shooting at you, and if you keep your cool, it makes you feel like an action hero.
So with the core mechanics down, how big is Hover Junkers a game? Is it a lot of maps, different vehicles? What kind of content are you building?
So we have at least 17 ships as of right now. Obviously, we want to scale that for everybody's room. So we have various sizes of ships. So there's tiny ships, ones you can play while you're sitting down, ones you can play facing forward. There's huge ships that can take up an entire living room, everything in between. So there's a significant amount of ships that we want to, you know, see how people, you know, treat room scale. Like, where are they setting this up? How are they, you know, how are they feeling about having this dedicated space to play a game in? And we've got, so the biggest thing is really the ships in terms of like what space you're playing in. There's 11 maps as well, different sizes. It can be 8 players, so you can have up to 8 people in there.
Cooperative as well on single ship?
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us Hover Junkers, and we can't wait to play the game.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much. So Hover Junkers, that game demo went by really fast. That's how much fun I was having in the game. The ability to not only have a shooting game where you can use the controllers to look down the sights and shoot a pistol or a shotgun, but have an interesting reload mechanic where I need to use some of my brain to flip out the cartridge, flip out the chamber, reload the gun, flip it back in, and then while dodging enemies and moving the hover ship, that all is going to take a bunch of time to perfect. It's not going to be, it's going to be, I could see this being like the Quake of virtual reality. The locomotion mechanic of moving around in the hover ship itself actually felt really comfortable even after only about 3 minutes of play. I wasn't even looking at the map, the mini map, which is what I use to move the ship around and spot other enemies. I could actually hold that off to the side, shift my body to turn the hover ship, and then press the trigger to move the ship around the map. I played with 2 other people in a 3-player deathmatch, but up to 8 players will be able to play Hover Junkers. And with 4v4 deathmatches and for cooperative environments, I think there's a lot of potential for this game. It feels really fully fleshed out, a lot of great humor. The game assets look great. The inverse kinematic engine, the way they use the 3 points of tracking to show a player avatar,
That stuff looks good. I'm gonna want to test that more out in depth when we get the full game to see how that affects your hit targets, your tracking for people of different sizes, but very promising and very fun to play. We'll have more stuff from the SteamVR developer showcase on tested.com. Until then, we'll see you next time.